What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. In this video we're going to be talking about the top 5 vehicles that you need to own in GTA Online. So without further ado, let's get right into the video. The very first vehicle that we're going to talk about is going to be the Raju fighter jet. You can get this jet from the Warstock Cash and Carry website, and it is very good. This plane has a top speed of around 232 miles per hour / 374 kilometers per hour. So as of right now, it is currently the fastest vehicle in the whole entire game. So not only is it the fastest plane in the game, it's literally the fastest vehicle in the game. So this is going to be very good, especially when you're completing hangar missions, when you're trying to go all the way across the map. It's going to save you tons of time. Now you can purchase this for $6.8 million if you do not have the trade price, but if you do have the trade price, you'll be able to purchase this for $5.1 million, which is still a lot of money, but it's going to be worth buying. The reason this is worth buying is because this plane will have the ability to use the stealth mode feature. This will hide your player icon from the map, which means players will not be able to see your location, and this is basically an off the radar feature but inside of this jet. All you have to do is, if you're on controller, you're going to want to click the right D-pad, and that's going to allow you to hide off the radar. There's also another feature. If you're on controller again and you hold the left stick button, you're actually able to use the VTOL mode. Basically, the VTOL feature is the vertical takeoff and landing assisting. That means that this plane can hover around the map. So instead of always using the runway in order to exit the area, you can literally click your left stick on controller, and that's going to allow your plane to hover. So yeah, that's going to save you a ton of time because you won't have to drive all the way down the long runway. Now the Raju jet can take up to 3 homing missiles, which is not bad, but it's better than nothing because most of the vehicles in the game can only take around 1 homing missile. But yeah, you can take 3 homing missiles with this jet, so that's going to allow you to have some extra armor. Now you can actually use homing missiles in this also, so this is going to allow you to easily get rid of any NPCs or police that are in your way. Since it is a plane, it's going to have unlimited missiles. And another weapon that this plane has is going to be the explosive MGs. These are going to be very good at taking out all of the enemies in your way. I highly recommend you use these explosive MGs instead of using the homing missiles because it's going to be much easier to take out all of your targets. The next vehicle on this list is going to be the Pegasi Oppressor Mark II. Now I know this vehicle has tons of controversy, but it is a very good vehicle. Now you can purchase this vehicle on the Warstock Cash and Carry website for $8 million. But if you unlock the trade price, which all you have to do is complete 5 client jobs from your terabyte, and then you'll be able to purchase the Oppressor Mark II for as low as $6 million, which is still very expensive, but it's going to be very much worth it. Now the Oppressor Mark II has the option to add homing missiles. These are going to be pretty good at taking out police and NPCs around the map. They're not going to be good at taking out online players or any target that moves often because the missiles don't have the greatest tracking since they have been nerfed, but they are going to be pretty good at taking out any NPCs whenever you're doing missions. The actual top speed of the Oppressor Mark II is going to be 127 miles per hour / 205 kilometers per hour. So yeah, it's going to be a very good vehicle at traveling around the map, and it's also very agile. But yeah, you're definitely going to want to use this vehicle if you're going to grind in GTA Online. Inside of your terabyte, you're actually able to add the special vehicle workshop, which means you can customize your Oppressor Mark II. You can add countermeasures so that you can prevent online players from being able to attack you. But yeah, I highly recommend you give that a shot. The Oppressor Mark II also has the ability to use a rocket boost. This will allow you to speed around the map and go much faster. Unfortunately, the only way for you to recharge the boost is if you completely slow down, or if you just slow down your Oppressor Mark II. That's the only way you can recharge your boost. But yeah, the boost feature is going to be very helpful. But yeah, like I said earlier, I highly recommend you purchase this vehicle. Even though it is very expensive, this is going to be probably the best vehicle in order to grind in GTA Online. The third vehicle on this list is going to be the Sparrow helicopter. The only way you're able to obtain this helicopter is by purchasing a Kasaka and then adding the Sparrow add-on. This add-on will cost you about $1.8 million, but it's going to be very much worth it because you're able to complete the Cayo Perico heist setups much quicker. Because if you do not own the Sparrow helicopter, you're going to have to either use a boat or you're going to have to drive the Kasaka submarine to shore, and that's going to take a very long time. The Sparrow helicopter is also very quick. You're also able to spawn it immediately through your interaction menu, so that is a very good feature. The Sparrow helicopter has a top speed of 168 miles per hour / 271 kilometers per hour. So yeah guys, it's going to be very good about traveling around the map. Inside of your Kosaka, you're actually able to customize your Sparrow just a little bit. You're able to add countermeasures, add missiles, and actually respray the color of your Sparrow helicopter. But yeah, adding countermeasures will actually prevent other people from locking onto your vehicle, so that is pretty cool. And like I said earlier about the homing missiles, these are infinite since it is a helicopter. But yeah, these are pretty decent at taking out enemies. I wouldn't recommend using this against online players because they aren't the best missiles, but they are going to be pretty decent at taking out enemies when you're doing missions. Alright, so unfortunately, the Sparrow helicopter can only take one homing missile, one RPG, 2 rounds from an explosive sniper, and 1 shot from a tank. So unfortunately, it doesn't have very good armor, but at least it is very fast. The next vehicle we're going to talk about is going to be the armored Kuruma. You can purchase this vehicle on the Southern San Andreas website for $698,000. And if you unlock the trade price by completing one of the heist missions, you're actually able to purchase this for $525,000, which is very affordable. Now the reason why you need this vehicle is because it is an armored vehicle. It's basically nearly impossible to get shot out of this vehicle because it has some very good armor. Unfortunately, it only takes 1 missile, but it does have some impressive bulletproof armor. So you're definitely going to want to use this whenever you're completing a heist. This vehicle is also a 4-seater, so it's going to be even better when you're trying to complete missions when you're playing with your friends. The armored Kuruma has a top speed of 109 miles per hour / 176 kilometers per hour, which is not that bad in terms of speed, but it's definitely not super slow either. The armored Kuruma was added way back during the heist DLCs back in 2015. This vehicle was very good because there weren't many vehicles like the armored Kuruma, especially since this was a 4-seater and it was completely bulletproof. So if you were doing a heist, you're easily going to be able to complete those missions because it's going to be nearly impossible to get shot out of it. Like, this vehicle has probably the best bulletproof protection in my opinion because it's impossible to die in this vehicle. The 5th and final vehicle that we're going to talk about is going to be the Toreador. Now you can purchase this on Warstock Cash and Carry for $4.2 million, which is a ton of money, but it's definitely going to be very much worth buying. Now at first glance you may think this is a regular vehicle, but it's actually not. This vehicle also will have a rocket boost. So similar to the Oppressor Mark II and the other vehicles, this vehicle has a huge speed boost and it will allow you to go very quickly. So it's definitely a very good vehicle if you want to travel around the map. Now you can choose to store the Toreador in either your Kosaka or you can choose to store in a random garage, but either way, at least it's not stuck inside of your facility like most of the vehicles in the game. The Toreador will have a top speed of somewhere around 135 miles per hour, but with the boost I'm pretty sure it's going to be much higher than that. This Toreador also has the ability to go underwater and convert into a submarine. So if you want to get away from enemies who are chasing you, all you have to do is, if you're on controller, you're going to want to hold the right D-pad button and then you're going to be able to convert your vehicle into a submarine. This is very cool and it's very similar to the Stromberg, except this is going to be a much better version of it since it has a speed boost. This vehicle also has an infinite amount of missiles, so you can easily take out anyone in your way, and the missiles are actually pretty decent. They're way better than the Buzzard and the Sparrow missiles. So yeah, these missiles are going to be pretty decent at taking out enemies. Another good thing about the Toreador is that this vehicle is a 4-seater, so similar to the armored Kuruma, you're actually able to transport all of your friends so that you can get to one place at the same time, and that's going to save you a ton of time because you won't need to constantly use different vehicles in order to travel around the map. Now let's talk about the explosive protection on the Toreador. This vehicle can take up to 6 missiles from a homing launcher if you have it fully upgraded. It can also take 2 RPGs, 5 explosive rounds from a heavy sniper, and 1 shot from a tank. So it is pretty decent on the armor side and is much stronger than most of the vehicles in the game, considering this vehicle has missiles. So it is kind of strange how this vehicle has missiles and still has some pretty good explosive protection. Alright guys, so if you enjoyed the video, please consider leaving a comment down below. Thank you for watching, and please consider checking out this video on your screen.